I can feel myself getting more and more resentful towards older generations. What happens in conversations is that, the Millennials and the Gen Zs are destroying America. They're doing all, it gets political, and it just makes me feel resentful.
At some level, resentment becomes a choice. What up? What up? This is John with the Dr. John Delony Show. Thanks for joining us. Hope you had an amazing weekend. And I actually don't know when you're listening to this. It might be on a Thursday, so maybe you're whatever. I'm glad that you're with us wherever you're listening to this, however you're listening to this, whenever. This show, we talk about your mental and emotional health and your relationships. We talk about kind of everything. And I'm grateful. If you want to be on this show, it's real people with real challenges. Give me a buzz at 1-844-693-3291 or go to johndelony.com/ask. We got people here watching the show live, and one of my favorite things in the world, we won't put y'all on camera, but is when families roll in here. And there's like 3 teenagers, and their parents are behind them. And I just think of some of the shows that we have and the topics we have and thinking, man, I bet the lunchtime conversations are incredible when there's just families staring at each other over a Chick-fil-A table or a Mexican food restaurant down the road, being like, Dad, do you and Ma... Now, okay, let's go to Omaha. Let's go to Omaha and talk to Luke. What's up, Luke?
Hi, Dr. John. Thank you so much for taking my call.
For sure, man. What's up, dude?
Yeah, so one thing is I'm, kind of a younger generation. I'm part of the Millennials. And
how old are you?
I can feel myself... I am... No. I'm 33. I always have a hard time remembering my age.
You're not that old. I'm old enough to forget my age. Okay, so 33. All right, go for it.
Yeah, so I can feel myself getting more and more resentful towards older generations the more that I interact with my own parents, as well as, media can be toxic. I understand that. I can avoid that. But it just seems like a lot of what happens in conversations is that, the Millennials and the Gen Zs are destroying America. They're doing all, it gets political, which is whatever. But it feels like the more that they talk about these things, the more I do research and I find, a lot of projection in what they're saying. And it just makes me feel resentful, which I hate feeling that way.
Sure. So since we started this call, all you've talked about is them, them, them. Tell me about you. What do you do for a living?
Well, right now I'm a recruiter. I hire people for the company I work for.
Okay. What's your annual salary?
$73 a year.
Okay. And 73 in Omaha, Nebraska. 73. If I'd made $73,000 when I got out of college, that would have been borderline rich in my head, right? I grew up poor. Not poor, but we grew up lower middle class. $73,000 would have felt like $1 million. For you, with rent, do you own a home or are you renting?
I own a home. Okay.
So owning a home, keeping the thing up, keeping groceries, like the last few years, 73 suddenly becomes pretty tight, huh?
It does, yeah.
Okay. Tell me about your relationship with your parents, just growing up with them.
Yeah, so growing up, when we were younger, all of our summers were pretty much spent with our grandparents just because my parents were younger. They got married at like 18 or 19, and so they needed a lot of help. And my grandparents lived about an hour away from where my parents lived. And so, we spent 3 months with my grandparents, and then during the school year, we'd be in town with my parents, and it was great. My grandparents were great. My parents were great. But, I just remember a lot of times when, my mom struggles a lot with ADHD, and she didn't have the greatest upbringing herself. And so being a parent was a very new thing for her, when we were growing up. And so there was a lot of things like dates that were important to me that would get passed by as either, I forgot, or things where...
hey, Luke, you're talking in circles, buddy. Get real specific for me.
Oh, sorry.
Let me say it like this. That's not about radio performance or anything like that, or like being a good caller.
Right.
It's about you've been covering for your mom for a long time.
Mm.
Fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
And you've been pissed off that your dad doesn't cover for you guys. Dad covers for mom too.
Yeah.
Tell me specifically. Did your mom forget birthdays? Did your mom forget school days? Like, what did your mom forget?
Yeah. So days when, birthdays. Well, not at home, but at school. Like the things that all my peers were doing.
Sure.
It always felt like, their parents would, talking elementary school and really young as opposed to older. Because once I got older, it didn't matter. But
it did matter. It did matter. But she didn't show up. She didn't show up in the way the other kids' moms showed up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's I'm being willing to bet that's the benign version.
Yeah.
Was home messy too? A little bit chaotic?
Yeah.
Okay.
The most recent thing is back in 2016, I was baptized, and it was a really big deal for me.
Sure.
And my family's Christian, but
okay.
I was baptized into a specific denomination, and it was really important. And I remember telling my family, weeks and weeks before, and oh yeah, this is great. And then the morning of, I was like, okay, so are you coming? I'll make sure you have seats. How many are coming? Like, I forgot, or she didn't say she forgot, but I've got this other thing that I forgot about. I won't be able to make it. And so, I was kind of the only one. And
what happened recently, Luke? Like what precipitated this call?
So me, my wife, and my child, we go over there all the time just to hang out with them. And so when we're hanging out, we're always having conversations. And I think the thing that really precipitated everything was just every time I talk to them, all I hear is about how, the younger people are doing this and that. And then when I try to involve in the conversation and be like, hey, well, here's these other things and stuff, I always feel like I'm hurting I can't have an opinion without hurting their feelings. Because it's personal to them. Everything is personal. I can't talk about anything that I care about because either they're not interested or it's too personal.
Okay. So other than there's telling somebody that they love, telling somebody that their loved ones passed away, there's telling somebody that I think their marriage is probably over. This is the third hardest conversation to have. Okay? So I'm just going to shoot you straight, all right?
Okay.
And it's a both and conversation. Let's just pick the 2016 thing. That was a big deal. And your parents didn't show up. Right?
Yeah.
And, Luke, that was in 2016. That was 8 years ago. So, mom and dad didn't show up. And by the way, that's not a new thing for them. They've continued to be consistent your entire life since elementary school when they didn't show up for important things. And yet, every day you wake up and you hand a movie, like you turn on the movie cameras and you cast them in a movie that they don't even know that they're in, and then you get mad at them for not knowing their lines. And then you keep going over to their house. And you keep showing up and you keep showing up, and they keep hurting you and they keep hurting you. Resentment is wanting something to be different, but having no power to make it so. And so, in a strange way, your resentment of them is a choice you continue to make over and over and over again. They're not going to change.
Yeah.
They do life the way they do life, which is very selfishly, all about them. And if they ever feel uncomfortable, it's somebody else's fault. And it could have been uncomfortable because of finances. It could have been uncomfortable because married kids when they're 18 and 19, and they had to figure it out. And now their life is probably pretty good. And so their discomfort is other people's ideas. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But you keep waltzing into that saying, and action. And they don't know their lines. And then you get hurt by it. And so your choice is to cut them off, which I don't recommend, or to make peace with that. And here's what making peace is not to let people run over you, but making peace is you deciding I'm going to take ownership of of my side of this relationship and put up boundaries. What does that mean? That means in the Delony house, me and my mom and dad do not discuss politics, period, end of story. We do not. We very, very rarely discuss religion. Period. End of story. And that's a boundary I put into place.
Sure.
Because I love them enough and I want to stay in relationship with them. And also, if I dread going to their house every time, I'm bringing a negative attitude to my mom and dad's house. That's not honoring of them.
Yeah.
But I'm choosing to go. So if I'm going to choose to go, I want that interaction to be positive. And for that interaction to be positive, I don't want to sit there for 45 minutes and debate politics. I don't want to debate what's happening in the world stage. Right?
Yeah.
And so they've been really honoring of that. And I love talking to my folks. And occasionally politics stuff comes out. We make fun of each other. Occasionally religion stuff comes out. We make fun of each other. We laugh, but it's because that boundary exists. And I refuse to resent my parents.
Sure.
Does that make sense? And so here's what I'm trying to give you as a 33-year-old with your own little kid.
Mm-hmm.
You've had this picture of the way of a world you want to be true. It is not going to look like that. Period. End of story. And what millions and millions of people do in your situation is they continue to bang their head against that wall. Then they go to their therapists and they say, my parents don't love me. And they use words like abuse and they use words like trauma. They use all these words, and mom and dad have just been consistent. They've just been the way they're going to be. And so the hard work here is not convincing people who have no interest in being convinced of anything differently, even with facts and data.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is saying, all right, I have to adjust my picture of what this looks like, or I have to walk away.
Yeah.
That makes sense? This is you reclaiming ownership. And so what should happen is you should feel empowered and you should feel deep grief for a while.
Okay.
How does that sit with you? Because here's the deal, it's not going to change. I have this conversation about inflation, about how expensive things are now relative to where they were for our parents. Okay, you're right. You're right. And then every one of us is faced with that question, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
I had this conversation with my son this weekend. He's going into high school. And usually I'm not really specific about him just because he's older. Sure. But he's got a dad that's the worst, man. Because I don't let him play Fortnite. I don't let him get into I don't let him get into games where people are logging in. I don't know all that stuff. And that's frustrating as a high school kid. I get that, man. It's the worst. But here's the conversation we had this weekend. My granddad got a letter from the federal government saying you are going to war to fight Nazis. And he got on a bus and went halfway across the United States to fight Nazis. My mom was 21 years old when the government said you now can go get a checking account without your husband's signature. You can put your name on a mortgage without your husband's signature. That's my mom. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And now my son is born into a world where a 14-year-old is handed the internet and makes one wrong sentence. And it never, ever, ever will go away. Period.
Yeah.
Right? So here's what I'm saying. Every single generation is born into something they didn't ask for, something they didn't cause, but something they are forced to reckon with. And the challenge is, are we going to sit there and just complain and piss and moan about the hand we've been dealt? Or are we going to play cards? And I think our media, our government says, don't do anything. You're too stupid. You're too unable. You come to our side of the sideline or the other side of the sideline, and we'll pat you on the head and we'll take care of you because you're inept. And I just don't buy that.
Yeah.
I think we have the opportunity to say, yeah, this sucks. And so here's the next thing I'm going to do. Here's the next right move for me and my family. And sometimes, rarely, that means I'm going to end some relationships. Sometimes that means I'm going to put some boundaries up. And other people might end the relationships because of my boundaries. That might mean I got to work 3 jobs. Which, by the way, I did with 2 PhDs. I worked 3 jobs to pay stuff off, to get to where I wanted to be. Like, I didn't like it. It is what it is. But what I'm not going to do is just stew in resentment, man. It's not. And I've got a sneaking suspicion, I may be crazy, maybe I'm out to lunch, but there were some things that your mom did pretty rad that other moms didn't do. Maybe not.
That's true.
Was she a hilarious, chaotic, fun mom?
Yeah.
Like if the music comes on, does she just start dancing? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Does she?
That's her.
Okay. So me and my wife joke all the time. My kids have never missed an appointment, ever. Not one time. But when the music comes on, my wife kind of just fades to the shadows. And she's like, that's your job. You're the dancer. Right? And so I'm not trying to absolve her. I'm saying most parents, most of the time, there's abusive, evil parents, and this show is full of those conversations. But most parents, most of the time, are doing the best they can with the tools they got. And they're going to mess up some things, and they're going to do some things pretty amazing. And they're going to be pretty boring and just right in the middle most of the time. And sometimes it's like this weekend. I told my son, hey, you've got 6 things to think about. I have 6,000 things to think about. And you're right. This thing that was a priority for you was down on the bottom of my list, and I'm sorry. But not really, but kind of. And that's most of us. And so we got to decide. I think our culture is too disposable with relationships. We throw away dating relationships. We throw away marriages. We throw away our parents. We throw away aunts and uncles, whatever. And man, outside of abuse and downright cruelty, I'm going to make my boundaries, and I'm going to go along and do the next right thing. I think question I want you to ask, Luke, and I want you and your wife to get away for a weekend. Ask yourselves, who do we want to be? And what do we want our house to feel like when we walk home every day? What conversations do we want to have? What conversations do we not want to have? And then you have to do the hard work of letting other people know these are our boundaries. We don't want to talk about these things. I do want to talk about these things. Right? But that's your boundary to draw. And at some level, resentment becomes a choice. And I'm going to choose guilt over resentment every single time. Because most of the people we resent don't deserve our resentment because they're just doing what they're doing. And we never bother to tell them, hey, we don't like that. We don't love that. We're not going to have this conversation anymore. Or we'll just head out. Hope that helps, my brother. I'm grateful for you. I can feel it on you. Here's my challenge to you. Set it down. Quit carrying it. Quit carrying it. You got a little one now that needs all your attention. You got a wife that needs your attention. You got a young man in the mirror that needs your attention. Let's start there, dude. Let's just set that stuff down and be free. Let's go on and do the next right thing. We'll be right back. All right, one of my guiding principles in life is to simplify whenever possible and to always get the best quality items I can afford. And if you've ever seen me on stage, out in airports, or even on this show, you know I wear the same thing almost every single day. I either wear some type of black t-shirt or I wear the best multi-purpose shirts on the planet. My good buddies at Poncho. Ponchos are my favorite shirt. Poncho is a small company based in Austin, Texas. The guys, I know them. They're amazing. They are laser focused on crafting the ultimate outdoor performance shirts for guys like me. Here's the deal. I fish in poncho shirts, I do yard work, farm chores, and hunting cleanup in poncho shirts, and then I wash and wear those same shirts to concerts, to church, on stages across the country, and even on this show. That's how versatile these shirts are. I've been wearing poncho shirts for what feels like forever. They are lightweight, breathable, and virtually indestructible. They also have amazing flannels and denim shirts for when it cools down. I literally have no other shirts with buttons on them in my closet. I've switched everything over to poncho shirts, and now they are partnering with our show to hook you guys up. Poncho is the only button-up shirt I will wear, and I'm confident you will love them too. Head over to ponchooutdoors.com and try them for yourselves. Use promo code Delony at checkout for a free hat or t-shirt with your first order. That's ponchooutdoors.com. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. All right, we all know I'm a pretty big nerd. I love learning new things. It's one of the reasons why I spent most of my adult life in a classroom, either as a student or a professor. But I've been out of the classroom for a few years, and with the flurry of activity around my kids going back to school, your kids going back to school, seeing all of the mania at the stores everywhere, it reminds me, not going to lie, of my love for learning. And you may not have liked school, or maybe you did, but I'm confident that there are things that you love to learn deeply about over the years. It could be medicine, gardening, prepping, hunting, politics, plumbing, law enforcement, Shakespeare, any number of things. And if we're honest, most of us spend our lives learning deeply about anything and everything other than ourselves. And as we get older, we can switch into survival mode, and many of us stop learning and being curious, especially about ourselves altogether. I want to challenge you this fall to become curious about yourself. Why do you react the way you do? Why do you feel the way you do? Why are you frustrated or overjoyed or exhausted all the time? Therapy can be an amazing place to learn more about you, to regain your sense of curiosity, wonder, and excitement about the world. You are worth a life full of wonder and joy. And if you're considering therapy, I want you to consider calling my friends at BetterHelp. BetterHelp is 100% online therapy staffed with licensed therapists. You can talk with your therapist anywhere, in your car, during your lunch break, at home, in a private room at work. It's incredibly convenient and it's suited to fit your schedule. You just fill out a brief survey about your values and preferences, and you can get matched with a therapist, and you can change a therapist at any time for no extra charge. Let's invest in learning about ourselves this year, and let's regain our sense of wonder and excitement for our one wild and amazing life. Visit betterhelp.com/Delony today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Delony. All right, let's go out to Detroit, Rock City, and talk to Heather. What's up, Heather?
Yes. Hi, Dr. John. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, beautiful. What's up?
Well, I have been married for many, many years. And
How many is many? You said that perfectly.
50.
Woo! Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not. Sorry.
Well, here we go.
Oh, okay. I retract my congratulations.
Of course. My husband and I, we started a business about 30 years ago.
Okay.
I left the job that I had to help start the business. And as you know, over a 30-year time period, we had our ups, we had our downs. We came very close to bankruptcy twice. I took my pension out of my job that I had for the company. I used inheritance that I had for the company. And fast forward to today, the company is doing fabulous.
Awesome.
Just fabulous. Our daughter came in and she's been helping us, and we've been doing really great. And in the process of us doing really great, we're kind of thinking about, selling the company or giving it to the daughter to carry it on. So we're not sure what direction that's going to go. But the reason I'm calling is my husband gave me a document as to how things were going to go when we sell the business. He had
Whoa! What?
Yeah. He had money divided into trust, and he never spoke to me about what was going to happen. In fact, the way he told me was that he was the only one on the corporate papers, and I had no say.
Your name's not on the business?
No.
Oh, sweet Heather. Oh, man. What a mess. Huh.
Yeah.
Why did he suddenly start flexing on you this long? Has he always run like this? Or is this new behavior?
No, this is the way he runs.
Oh, man. I'm instantly thinking of a woman I sat with who was married to a man who's a bit older than her. He had vast wealth, was very wealthy. A good man. I knew him. He's a friend of mine. He's an older guy. He passed away, and he actually left everything to his wife. She couldn't afford to buy groceries because of the process of unwinding everything. Like, it wasn't in her name. And even though she was a beneficiary, I remember sitting with her she's saying, I don't have any money in the checking account.
Mm.
And so that naming became really important because it allows you to maneuver, it allows you to make decisions. He dropped dead today. And man, you've got a business that's not yours. Your name's not on it. Now, it technically would be yours and it'd get all probated out and it'd be a big old mess. And that's assuming your daughter didn't suddenly have a flip a switch, which I've seen happen a jillion times. But why in the world is your name not on the business?
Well, I think when we started, we had really no money, and we just got a boilerplate form.
Sure.
And he put his name on everything and didn't put mine on it, and I didn't really think about it.
I don't blame you.
Although I did have a friend who knew my husband 30 years ago and said, "You better get your name on that paper." And I, pushed that under the rug. Yeah. She was absolutely right.
So you're here. At this point, how can I help you?
Well, I am dealing with a sense of betrayal. I am dealing with a sense of dishonor, and I am trying to navigate how I go forward to deal with someone who has totally dishonored me.
Yeah. You don't navigate that. You head directly through the middle of it. And if y'all been together 50 years, you're probably going to have to get an attorney, or possibly your daughter walks with you. You have to be prepared for this to go caustic, is basically what I'm saying. And I don't know what kind of guy he is. Meaning,
well,
go ahead. What's your daughter say?
I was going to say the daughter's going with him because he's leaving a big percentage of the business to her.
But it's not his to leave, it's y'all's to leave.
But that's not what he's saying.
What are you supposed to do in retirement when he drops dead? Which, statistically speaking, he will long before you.
Well, he's going to have a trust. He has a trust set up, and I would.
Oh, cute. He's going to continue to pay you an allowance out of your business?
Yes. Yes.
That's madness.
Yes.
I hate that it's taken 50 years. Man, we could sit together for a long time and unpack this one. Is this one of those situations where this is devastating and not surprising?
Correct.
Yeah. So I think the question you have to ask yourself is, are you going to go to war or not?
I'm a little too old for that.
I'm worried about you. I'm worried about you. Because this is 50% your business.
But that's not what he's saying.
I'm telling you what is legally accurate. I don't care what he's saying. He's proven his character I'm just shocked by it, to be honest with you. It just doesn't make any sense to me how people run like this. But I guess you could sit across the table from him and say, hey, you gave me this piece of paper. I'm a co-owner of this business. I reject this. And if you want me to get an attorney, let's go to court to figure this thing out, we will. And you're going to burn up a huge chunk of your assets, probably to the point where we have to sell this business to cover your legal fees, but I reject this.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to do.
And your daughter's going along with it? Is she cool with cutting you out?
Yes. Yes, because the way it's written, she's going to benefit from it, from the way he's planned it.
Oh, man. Because my hope in this situation is she would call time out and say, this isn't right.
No.
Man.
And I have other children.
What are they saying?
They're not even talking to him right now.
Okay. I'm never a fan of doing things behind another spouse's back. That goes against 99.9% of just the way I roll. But I think you need to call an attorney and figure out what the next right step for you is.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to set up that consultation and pay that fee and walk through it. And if you have your tax returns from the last few years, I would take them in and just explain your situation. Here's what this business is worth.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to run a net present value on the business and say, okay, it's worth about this if you were to sell it. And here's the path. Here's your legal path in this state for sitting down with your husband saying, actually, this is what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't give you legal advice. I don't know enough. I'm not that smart. What I can tell you is your feeling of betrayal is real and it's right.
Yep.
And your feeling of dishonoring is right. Your feeling of that my husband and my daughter's hanging me out to dry here is right. The idea that you've put your entire life, including your inheritance, your money, for a thing y'all built to find out you're going to get an allowance from your daughter when it's all said and done? No way, dude. No way. No way.
Mm-hmm. That's how he has it set up.
Yeah, no way. What does he say to you? Why does he think so little of you?
Well, because he believes that he's the one in charge, and he doesn't think that I would be able to run the business without him there, and that the daughter needs to be running the business. And I believe she should run the business because he's been training her for years, and I think that's great. But to totally take away, any stock or any ownership at all, everything, he's giving everything to her. And she knows how I feel about it. So it's not like she doesn't know. She does know.
Yeah, I mean, I just know about homes. I don't know about businesses in Michigan, but I can see a scenario where it gets down to a forced sale of this business, and that might cost you marriage.
Mm-hmm. That's the dilemma I have.
Yeah. What's the business worth?
About $25 million.
Yeah. So it might cost you your marriage, but you might be sitting on the sidelines with $12.5 million. I can't tell you what to do here. I can just sit with you heartbroken.
Well, you've confirmed what I thought I'd have to do, and I do appreciate your time.
Yeah. I'm heartbroken with you, my friend. I wish 50-year marriages were honored, not worked around.
Mm-hmm.
I work here at Ramsey Solutions, and I listen to, Dave Ramsey's been on the air forever. And he's fond of saying Sharon Ramsey hasn't worked a day of her life outside of the home. She's worked like a madhouse for 40 years inside the home, right? I just can't imagine that playing out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot wrong with this picture, but it starts with the dishonoring of you. You're
Yes.
right. I'm sorry.
I appreciate your call and your advice.
Yeah. I would call somebody today. I would not go out to that by myself either. If you have another child that would go with you, preferably a girlfriend that would go with you. But I would not go to that meeting by yourself, because you're going to hear different things, and you're going to have a mix of anger and rage and heartbreak, and you want somebody else that's going to be able to be present, fully present there with you, taking notes as well. So don't go to that meeting by yourself, but do make that call. And yuck, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll be right back. It's time for my Organifi confession. I've often been guilty of making wellness way too complicated. In the wellness world, every influencer on every corner is trying to sell this thing and that thing and yelling and screaming at all of us that if we don't use their products, we're doomed. Here's the truth. Health shouldn't be so hard. In fact, it's not. When it comes down to it, we need to exercise and lift heavy things, get enough sleep, have great friends, and work on our emotional and spiritual health, and get optimal nutrition and energy intake from whole foods and supplements as needed. And over the past year, I've been dramatically paring down my supplement routines to the things that I trust and the things that I know for certain will help me be the husband, dad, and community member I know I need to be. I've cut out a ton of unnecessary things, but I still start every morning with Organifi. Organifi has incredibly high-quality ingredients that I trust for me and my family. And mixing the red and green powders in every morning is super quick and easy. I mix these two powders together with the occasional pure powder into a glass of cold water even before my first cup of coffee. The green juice offers me great micros and hydration to start the day, as well as it gets the digestion train rolling. And the red juice gives me caffeine and sugar-free energy so I can cut back on so much coffee and still be ready to rock and roll. And yes, I still love my happy drops for the mood boost. I travel with Organifi, I share it with all of my friends and family, and I'd highly recommend you give it a try. Go to Organifi.com/Delony for 20% off your entire order. That's Organifi, Organifi.com/Delony, or use promo code Delony at checkout. Organifi makes wellness easy. All right, let's go to Ontario, Canada, and talk to Sarah. What's up, Sarah?
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm okay. So my question is, am I right to go into any sort of debt to go to my best friend's wedding?
I mean, you know what I'm going to say to that, but tell me more.
Okay, so this is my best friend of about 20 years. And we both got engaged actually last month.
Oh, gross. Y'all did it together?
No, not together. Actually, just surprisingly within a few days of each other, which is, it was nice. But
did you put that like on a vision board of some sort? Did you manifest that or something? That feels like what you did. All right.
Honestly, we did not. So what's happened is she's decided she wants to get married very quickly. It's going to be in 2 months from now. And it's going to be a destination wedding across the country. And I can't afford it. I just can't. My partner and I, we are actually signing to buy some property so we can build our own home in the next few years. And of course, our own wedding. And I can't afford it. And
that's the end of the conversation.
Won't speak to me.
That's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, it has been. I haven't heard from her.
Yeah.
She did sort of tell me that I have the wrong values and priorities, that I should be willing to postpone buying our property. I should, think about taking out a credit card or a loan to make it to that. And I'm shocked. I'm not really sure what to say or do beyond this, but yeah.
How long have y'all been friends?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Golly, man, this is the show of like boundaries and sad relationship endings.
I know.
Can I paint you another picture?
Please.
This past weekend, I just flew in from a funeral. And one of my best friends on the planet, his name's Todd. I talked about it on the show. His mother passed away after a valiant fight with dementia, Alzheimer's. And he sent a note 2 weeks ago. It said, I can't call you right this second because I'm a mess, but we did plan the funeral out. And so it's going to be this day. I know you're out on the road. You're all over the place. And if you can't make it, man, I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's a 30-year friendship. And that was a woman who was a surrogate mother for me in college. I was 9 hours away from my own mom. And she welcomed me into her home. And she fed me. And she made me die laughing. And then when I got my first job back at the university, she fed me. She helped me when my marriage was on the rocks. And one of my oldest best friends in the world said, I absolutely understand the quick nature of this thing, your schedule, the cost, the expense, all of it. So that's just me painting you another picture. I'm not saying my friend's better than your friend, but he kind of is. I'm not gonna lie. But to me, that's what friendship looks like.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm getting married. I'm doing something crazy. Destination wedding across the country in 2 weeks or 2 months. Let's do it. I can't make that. Okay. I get it. Totally get it. I wish more than anything you were here, but I totally get it. Because we're setting the traditional path on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish. She did say, it's okay if you can't make it. And so I thought, it would be okay if I can't. And I tried my best to figure it out, but it's not good enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so you have two things to grieve here. One is the shallow one. You'd always pictured y'all were going to be at each other's weddings. Like, without even thinking about it, that picture's always been in there, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Y'all are going to be each other's best mates. It's going to be awesome. And that's not going to happen. Here's the deeper grief. Had no idea she was that kind of friend. Or maybe you did. Maybe you did.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's very shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard when our friends, when life shows up and our friends aren't who we thought they were, even after 2 decades. I'm sorry. And you know what? It's kind of bananas. She's thinking the same thing about you right now.
Probably.
Yeah. How old are you?
Yeah. We're both 25, so we're pretty young, and cost of living is crazy. I live on my own with my partner, and I have for a long time, and I don't make a ton of money, and we've been saving a lot to buy this land that we bought, and we're so excited about that. And now I'm told I shouldn't do it, and I feel guilty, but I know it's crazy.
Yeah, choose guilt over resentment, because you're going to resent your friend. You're going to go to this party, this wedding. You're going to be a nothing burger. The party's about her. She's going to go have her dance. Her picture is going to be fulfilled. You're going to come home. You're going to exhale. And then you're going to have put your entire plan, your ability to have a home, some sort of stability, is going to be punted out 1 year, 2 years, and you're going to blame your friend for it, and that's not fair because you'll have made that choice.
Yeah.
You got to do the right thing in front of you, and that's the boundary you're drawing. And if your friend chooses to not be your friend because she doesn't like your boundary, it's a choice she's making.
Yeah.
And I hate this. You're 25. This is just growing up.
Yeah.
As the great Blink-182 says, I guess this is growing up. This is it, man.
Yeah. Apparently.
I hate it for you. But hey, be sad for a bit.
Yeah.
Be sad. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever it's worth, I would recommend not falling into anger. Wish her well. Wish her well. Get on the registry and send her a gift. Or if she's got a funny thing, send it to her hotel.
Okay.
She's made a choice. And you have too. But I'm not going to give away my character or my dignity.
No.
Is that fair?
No. Yeah. And I got to choose my partner too. in our life, and she can't understand that, then
what would be a kind of a baller move is if y'all flew up there and got married the day before in the same place.
That's petty.
Oh, dude. If we're going to be petty, let's go all in. Like Canadian petty. Let's go across, get the cast of Letterkenny to show up with you, which would be so great. And then you just get married the day before, post it on every platform known to man. And then in the hotel when she's walking in, be like, oh, hey, oh, that's right, yours is this weekend. Just do that. That's my actual recommendation.
Right, okay.
And that would be worth putting off buying a stable place for you to live for a year.
Okay, noted.
Just so, I mean, I went to a lot of grad school to come up with that answer, by the way. No, that's when I call him Recess John. That's when a 9-year-old John comes out and they're like, oh, yeah, I'll just set my bike on fire just so you can't ride yours. Like, yeah, don't do that. But if you do that, send pictures because that'd be incredible. But don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, I'm sad.
Good.
I'm sorry. I hate that for you. I wish that. This is the second call on this show today. Third call on this show today. That just ends with. Man, hate it for you, Sarah. But don't lose who you are in this process. Don't lose who you are. And who knows, maybe in 6 months, in a year, y'all can meet for coffee or whatever you drink up north. And so y'all can meet for a bubbling hot cup of maple syrup. And maybe y'all can say, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. And y'all can get back to the way things were. Probably not, but maybe. We'll be right back. Let's talk about Cozy Earth Sheets, the makers of the best bed sheets and bedding and bath towels in the galaxy. For months, one of my favorite moments in my life is sliding into my bed under these amazing sheets. And somehow, Cozy Earth Sheets make everything that's bonkers in my life all right. And these towels, wow. These sheets are so great. And we recently got the towels. And I'm telling you, when you get out of the shower, they're like a post-shower hug. And I've spent most of my life drying off with old rags at hunting camps or with paper towels. And I have toweled off with a hand towel more times than I care to admit. So I'm not a towel guy. But these new Luxe towels with this zero-twist technology, I think they're made at Hogwarts. Good Lord, they're amazing. The bedding is crafted with advanced technology, and it helps regulate body temperature for a cool, comfortable sleep all summer long. The bath towels have incredible absorbency, and they're really durable. And of course, they're made with the best source ingredients on the planet. And of course, you know that a good night's sleep plays a critical role in every facet of your life. But here's my biggest call out on these sheets and bath products. My wife and I could sleep on any sheets in the world. We bought these with our own money long before Cozy Earth was a show sponsor. And by the way, they have sleepwear, clothes, and more. Cozy Earth just rules. And now Cozy Earth is going above and beyond for you just for listening to our show. Go to CozyEarth.com/Delony right now for 40% off Cozy Earth products. You heard that right. Use code Delony or visit CozyEarth.com/Delony to unlock this offer. That's CozyEarth.com/Delony. And you know what? Because why not? Say that we sent you in the post-purchase survey, and they're going to hook you up with a free pair of Cozy Earth socks, because why not? Transform your night and morning routine with Cozy Earth. Go right now. All right, we're back, Kelly. Man, bail us out. That show just sounded like it was just like me sitting with people being sad.
All right, so this was a short social post, but I liked it, so I marked it this weekend that you put up.
You're not bailing us out? Don't you have a funny thing that happened or something? No?
No.
Right.
It's a good one, though.
It's not good. You just made your pretty face.
No, it is good.
That's not your pretty face. It's your I have to go to the bathroom so bad face. That's the one you just made. I'm just saying it is. That's the face you made. We've been speaking mostly through facial communication for like 4 straight years.
This is the face I make when I question my life choices.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Don't give advice. Live your advice. People get your message by watching you.
Ta-da. Man, it's kind of self-explanatory, right?
I think so, but it's sadly to a lot of people probably pretty profound also.
Yeah, just keep in mind the thing that Dr. Michael Gomez told me one time. Nobody's listening to you. They're just watching you. And so if you want your kids to learn about how to treat other people, just treat people right. If you want your kids to grow up and honor their spouse that they have someday, then honor yours. And if you want your kids to honor and understand about money and how the economics work, then bring them in and show them how budgets work and hold them to budgets, and don't just write them free checks. Let them be a part of a household, and on and on. I could just keep going and going. But I just think as a culture, we should talk a lot less. Just shut up. And start acting differently. Ta-da! Pretty profound social post there, huh?
Yeah, but sometimes the simplest ones are the most meaningful.
Oh. Was that you saying I have meaning sometimes?
Sometimes.
Maybe you should live that out instead of just saying it.
Let's end the show now.
I love you guys. Bye.